Johnny in Florida. He's with us here on our show. John, good afternoon. How are you today?
Hey, how are you?
Fine, John. Thank you. What's up now? Let me hear.
Listen, you're seeing the Patriot way right now before your eyes. This is the Patriot way. They use that saying when it's good for them, but when the shoe's on the other foot, Kraft, Belichick, all them guys up there, they turn it right around. Now,
John, you cannot blame this on Belichick, Kraft, and Brady. This is a guy. McDaniels is the guy who got cold feet.
But McDaniels talked to these guys. They should have said, why don't they step up to the plate and say, this isn't the Patriot way. We do things above board. We shouldn't do that. You gave the guy your word. You got to do it.
No. The Patriots, that's not their job to make sure that the coach get McDaniels. They're in the AFC. No. Their job, if they sense a wounded animal, well, their job is to pounce, and that's what they did. McDaniels is a good coordinator. Him and Brady are buddies. Again, I don't think it takes a genius to be an offensive coordinator of New England. I could do it too. Anybody could do it. He's got two Hall of Famers. He's got the greatest quarterback of all time. I mean, it's not that difficult to figure out a way to get Brady to be successful, and he's done that. But once you get the feeling, if you're Brady, Kraft, or Belichick, that he doesn't want to go to Indianapolis, what are you supposed to do? Convince him to go? No, you sit there and say. You
should say after he commits, you should say that's not the Patriot way, like he says all the other times about commitment and all this other stuff. Well, that was a commitment for that guy to go to Indianapolis, and you can say whatever you want, and Kraft can say what he wants. But let me tell you something. That's the way it is there. They're a bunch of cheaters, and they will do anything when it helps their cause. And that's just the way it is. It's okay.
I understand that their reputation precedes them. I get it. But I don't know if you have a chance to bring back a coach who you feel is a very good one in good standing, and maybe he's young enough that he could down the road replace Belichick, and you sense that he doesn't want to take the coach job after he accepted it 3 weeks ago, what are you supposed to do? Tell him, you know what, go take the coach job? And then you got to find an offensive coordinator? Your job is to win. The quarterback wants him to stay. He's the best quarterback in football. Belichick wants him to stay. In that case, you got to let him stay. So, and you got to try to keep him. Normally I'd like to kill the Patriots for this. I don't think I can. This is all about McDaniels. McDaniels should have honored his commitment to Indianapolis, or at least if he had cold feet, tell him a couple days after. Come home that week of the Tennessee game and say, you know what, guys, I don't know if I want this. And he had plenty of time to tell him 2 days after the Super Bowl has been completed is garbage. It's a rotten, as I said, it's a rotten thing to do. And I'm not a McDaniels. Listen, I didn't like McDaniels in Denver. He thinks he's a mini Belichick. He's hard to deal with the media. I'm not a big fan, all right? And I don't think listen, he was terrible in Denver. It was like the Rams lit up the scoreboard when he was their offensive coordinator for a year. So this is not a guy that's done anything without Brady as his QB. Let's also remember that. This is not a guy who went to Nowheresville and got up and forged an offense with mediocre players. He's got Tom Brady. So I'm not even sure how good he is anyway. Now, I understand if you have luck and you're sitting here in Indianapolis, it's a move that you could make. A 42-year-old guy, you look for that guy to find himself in his second job, a la Belichick leaving Cleveland, finding himself with the Patriots. I get it. I can see why the Patriots would want him, but there's no guarantee he's a big-time coach. But you can't kill Belichick, Brady, or Kraft, any of the combination. Once they sense that he didn't want to go, you can't kill them for making sure he stayed. I don't think that's fair. Jimmy in Indianapolis, and he's aboard here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Jimmy, good afternoon. How are you today?
Doing good, Chris. How are you?
Fine, Jim. Thank you. Let me hear now. Let's fire away. Let me hear what you got.
Hey, well, here's what I haven't heard all day. Okay, Ballard has got to take some blame here. His job, he's a hiring manager. He's got to hire. He's got to sell the job to the guy. He's got to say to him, look, they're going to come back to you. They're going to renegotiate. They might try to bump your salary. This is a head coaching job. This is a marquee job out here in Indianapolis. And you got to have that locked down. He's got to lock down his candidate. Ballard can't get out of this deal unscathed. Then he says,
"Well, the one problem I have with that, I'm gonna let you continue here, Jim. But the one problem I have with that is they were involved in the playoffs. They had games to play. I mean, it wasn't a lot of time. It wasn't like they were knocked out and he had a week and then he bailed out. He probably wasn't able to get a hold of McDaniels too much during that process. The Giants didn't talk to Shermer that second week because obviously Shermer is getting ready for a championship game. I'm not too sure what their availability was in contact with McDaniels after they thought they had to deal with him. But go ahead. Let me hear.
Yeah. And then, they announced that he's coming, and they set the news conference up. He doesn't have any paperwork. So it was almost like a Bush League move by Ballard.
What do you mean he didn't have any paperwork? You lost me. Oh, you're talking about the contract.
They don't have a signed contract, right? They don't have a signed contract.
Yeah, but, the Giants, Jim, the Giants didn't have a signed contract with Shermer. He didn't bail out. But the Lions didn't have a signed contract with Patricia. He didn't bail out. So, I mean, none of the coaches who coached in the postseason had any signed contracts after they agreed to take the job. So it wasn't like they were sitting there and they knew that they were going to be able to keep him. So I'm not sure if I buy that either. Dave in Utica, New York. Dave, welcome. How are you today? What do you have? You there, Dave? Fire away.
Yes.
Yes, Dave.
Yes. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
I really can't defend McDaniels and the final decision, but what I hate about the whole process is what you just touched on earlier, is that these coaches are interviewing and trying to plan for a transition while planning for an AFC championship game and then a Super Bowl. I'd really love to see the NFL take that away and have no interview process until after the season's over for everybody.
Yeah, but that means then a coach who would be a good coach doesn't, if he's all the way in the Super Bowl, a lot of these jobs don't want to wait until February 5th to hire somebody. So what do? You make the team wait to you make the team wait to February 5th. If he wants to coach badly enough, or he says the hell with it, he may not take the job anyway. Then we go get a coach, and you prevent that coach who's on a big team from being promoted. So I don't know if that's doable. It's a very tricky spot. Very tricky spot.
Yeah, tough one.
But you can't. All right, Lance, you get back to us. You can't defend Dave. You can't defend McDaniels on this under any circumstances. Lance in Massachusetts. Lance, good afternoon. You there, Lance? Let's try again. Get the phone pressed properly. Here we go. Lance, good afternoon. How are you today? What do you have for me?
Chris, can you hear me okay?
I sure can, Lance. Thank you. Okay. What's up now?
Hey, well, I think with just real quick, the last guy was trying to say was that the entire league has to wait till after the Super Bowl, which is probably a good idea. I know what you're saying, but if it's the same for everybody, all 32 teams, no coaches.
Well, all right. You want to tell me that you can't?
No interviews, nothing. It all February 6th, whatever.
That would stop it. So in other words, then no. The only problem is you are making teams that are not in the postseason wait a month before they can interview anybody to have a job.
But all 32 of them have to do it, though, Chris, right? So, so nobody's getting any sort of advantage or disadvantage. Everybody's in the same boat.
Not a terrible idea. Go ahead. Next.
What I wanted to call is I live in Massachusetts. I'm actually an Eagles fan. I've been in enemy territory here. But to have a pragmatic conversation about McDaniels, the Patriots this year played the Texans, very close, high-scoring game, and then saw both of the other two teams from the Colts division in the playoffs. And I don't know, if I was McDaniels, I would think, the average expectancy of an NFL coach, life expectancy, is about 3 years nowadays. And all three of the teams in my division would be substantially better than the team I'm going to. I have a quarterback who's injured and nobody knows whether he's really going to be able to play again. I've got no offensive line, and I've got a defense that's, the next best thing to a sieve.
But he knew that.
That might be 0-18 in division games.
Yeah, but Lane...
I don't want to go get my ass kicked that badly.
Yeah, but Lane, he knew that before he took the job. He knew the quarterback hadn't played. He knew the divisional opponents. So he had played them, as you said, Jacksonville, Houston, teams like that. He knew what he was getting into when he agreed to do it. The quarterback didn't play all year. It wasn't like the quarterback got hurt in the last 2 weeks. He hadn't played all year. And you couldn't guarantee that he was going to be okay for 2018. I'm not sure if anything happened to Luck in the last 3 weeks. I can't answer that. But he did not play this year. So he knew what he was walking into. 17 in front of the hour. Returning here on Mad Dog on.